On this episode of Southpaw Computing, we're going to do another review on another dash cam recorder, coming up next. Hey everybody, Dan from Southpaw Computing, and we're going to do another dash cam review. And this one actually has a model number, GS8000L. Pretty much, it comes in a very similar box. I mean, even the fonts are very similar to the one that we did previously. Again, this one here didn't have any sort of model number, but we'll compare the two, see which one is better, and we'll go from there. Right now, we'll do the unboxing. Okay, we got everything unboxed. Obviously, we have the camera itself. A little bit of a different layout than the other one that we did there. The USB cord for the computer, suction cup for the window, and cigarette light adapter for power. And as always, the very limited instruction manuals. I would say more than half of it is written in a different language, and this one here, it's very vague on the setup. But as the other camera that we did, it does the, what is it here, 1920 by 1080, 1440 by 1080 for 720p, 1280 by 720 for WVGA, and it does other lower resolutions that people probably won't ever use there. Also, this time around, we're going to use 32 gig SD card from what is that? G-Skill. I even forgot which one it was. But yeah, we're going to hop right into it. We're going to take some footage, just like the other review that we did, and yeah, we'll see what this thing can do. We'll be right back. Okay, before we continue, I just wanted to put it out there that this is the second unit that we're actually testing. The first unit that we tested, unfortunately, the lens was out of focus. Now, normally you would just adjust it, but unfortunately in the factory what they did was they glue the actual lens into position. So I tried to tinker with the first one that I had, and it didn't work out too well. I ended up breaking the unit entirely. Luckily, I was able to get a new one rather quickly from the US vendor, but yeah, all the footage that I initially shot, I had to basically redo it all because of this camera, the first camera's focused issue. So that being said, let's dive into some of the features of this camera since we got it here. Hopefully the focus comes in. It's nice that the buttons on this particular model are all on the side, both sides I should say, where the other camera, this one here, unfortunately all the buttons are down here on the bottom, and there's no markings like on this one here where it would tell you what button does what. So, I mean, obviously you're not supposed to really play with this while you're driving, but it's unless you know these particular buttons by heart, that's not going to do you any good, and you're trying to futz with it, the camera, and you end up pulling it over, pulling the vehicle over to see what's going on. So here, you simply turn on the unit with this power button. So we're going to do that. And we're just going to do a quick rundown of all the features that this thing can do. When we hit menu once, you have the option of size, and then I'm hitting record here to select it. And you have your options of the 1080p FHD, regular 1080p, VGA, etc., etc. I found the software for both of these cameras seems like it came from the same place. So 720p is the optimal setting for it. Exposure settings, they really don't do too much with this particular model, so I ended up just keeping it at 0. Even at nighttime when I do a +3, it really didn't seem to matter. Automatic white balance, pretty much explains itself. Anti-shake, it's unnoticeable. It's basically whether or not you want it to stabilize your photo or I should say your movie while you're driving. And I'm hitting menu to go back. Recording loop, basically what the duration of the files that you wanted to put the memory card there. I select 3 minutes for their clips. It seems, for me, it seems the best. It's easier to find particular spots that you want to view later on. Motion detect. It's got G-force sensors in there that they seem okay. Nothing out of the ordinary with the previous model that I reviewed here. That was way too sensitive. Audio recording, whether or not you want it to record audio while you're driving, and your date stamp, obviously to set the date, and that's it for that. I'm going to hit menu and then menu again. You set the actual date here, how long you want it to power off after idle activity, and then G-force sensor. You get to set the sensitivity here, and here whether or not you want the beeping sound, whether you want the backlight, your language, the frequency, turning on the TV mode, image rotation. You want to format the disk, SD card disk inside there, and return this unit to default settings straight from the factory. So having these nice labels here makes it a million times easier trying to get or navigating around the actual menus of this particular camera setup. To activate the night vision, this wasn't in the manual itself, but I'm going to go ahead and turn on record there. So now it's recording. You basically hit this little button here, and you get this little icon to show up, as you can see right there. Matter of fact, let me turn off the lights, see how well this is going to work. Let's see. And as you can see, the night vision is on. You can actually see my fingers. But when you turn it off, nothing at all. That's great when your maximum distance is about 5 feet. When you're driving in the car, these LEDs do absolutely nothing at all for night vision. And we're going to go into more detail about that as well. But yeah, let's get all these lights back on. And here. And I think what we're going to do is go look at some of the footage now. So let's shut off that. Oh, no, actually, night vision's off. Okay, so yeah, we're going to get into the actual footage and see what we found. Just over here, the icons are just telling us that, let's see if I can get it better. There you go. Red blinking light means it's recording. You got the microphone saying audio is being recorded. The plus and minus 0 is, okay, that's better. The plus and minus is what you set the exposure to. The automatic white balance is on. The 3 next to that means I'm doing 3-minute clips on my files, and the anti-shake for the hands, and the little memory card icon there basically is telling me that I got a memory card inserted. Okay, let's look at the footage and let's compare. We'll be right back. Okay, so this is just a random sample of the 720p setting for this particular camera. As you can see, it's you know, it's a little fuzzy. Pretty much what to be expected with these particular cameras. If I had to rate the quality compared to the no model number DVR that we previously did a review on, I would say this is slightly worse, but I mean it's hardly noticeable. You really have to put them side by side to notice any particular difference. But daytime shot here, it's pretty standard. You can see everything. Again, it's what it is for the price that you pay for the camera. So this is our 720p nighttime sample, and I have to say this is the best I got the image to look. I did have to modify the exposure rate to a +3 to get it to look this good. When it was at 0, you hardly were able to see the car's headlights as well as the lines on the road. So that being said, you know, in comparison to the no model number car DVR, it's pretty much on par with that one as well. Again, the LED night vision lights don't do anything for it, but in nighttime lit areas, the camera, you know, it'll pick up what you need to pick up, but all darker areas where there is no light and it's just your headlights, it could be a little bit challenging to see what's going on the video itself. But yeah, again, I did have to change the exposure on the lens to +3 to get it to look like this. Okay, so now to wrap this thing up, we're just going to do the final numbers here on the GS8000L there. This is the previous one that I reviewed. We'll be going back and forth on each of these, but yeah, back to the GSL8000 here. Basically, what's the good about it? Well, for starters, it's definitely got an improved 1080p sensor versus the model-less camcorder here, or I should say DVR dash cam. But that's, you know, it's not saying much. It's still, these built-in sensors are not true 1080p sensors. They're basically recording the motion JPEG files at their, 1980 by 1080 resolution, but you still could tell it's not there. The quality's not there. It's very pixelated. So basically 720p for both of these cameras is the optimal resolution you want to be recording. And plus, if you record in 1080p, it's going to be another 150 megabytes per file. So even with 32 gig sticks, or I should say SD cards, and these guys, it's going to fill up fast. So you want a lot of footage just in case. You know, you don't want something accidentally getting deleted. But for 720p on this one, it's about average. I would have to say the nameless DVR camera here does better in that aspect. This one here, well, actually both of them are running the same software. They basically got the same software running on both of them, just slightly a little different as far as formatting when you're actually using the interface. Again, with the no-name brand here, all the buttons to run all the commands are on the bottom, but you don't have any sort of legend here to tell you what you're clicking unless you already know what you're doing. Whereas the GS8000L here, you actually have the labels on the side, which is great, so you know what you're doing if you need to pull over without having to flip the unit underneath on its side there. Yeah, battery life for this guy, for the GS8000 here, is about 30 minutes. Whereas the other one here, the no-name brand, was about 20 minutes. Both will do playback in the event of emergency, which is very nice. So the bad things about the GS8000. While I was driving, you'll see in the raw footage, when recording on this guy here, you'll hear some weird audio noises. It's not as bad as the no-name one, but it's annoying enough that if you watch a lot of footage, you'll hear it. Again, the poor night vision on this particular model, it's even where the light is shining, I mean, it was kind of rough. Even playing with the exposure settings did absolutely nothing to improve the image, as well as poor nighttime sensors here. These things do absolutely nothing for you while you're driving. Again, they pretty much only go up to about 5 feet to give you night vision, and then after that, there's nothing to actually see with those sensors. Again, not 1080p. We've already established that. Let's actually compare the window mounts here. The no-named DVR has a better mount. It's got a nice little ball and socket mount, so you could pretty much put it at any angle, whereas this one here for the GS8000, it's pretty much, it's not obviously a ball and socket joint, but I don't know how you would describe it, but it's got, a bunch of divots in there, and there's no in-between for it. So either sometimes your camera might be positioned a little too high or a little bit too low. You can never get it just right with the GS8000L. Let's see, and what else do we got? I mean, again, these are low-cost devices. You can't complain too much for what you're paying for. And then coming with the price point on this one here, it's about $28 off of eBay, which, again, I'm not gonna knock something that's so cheap and then expect a high quality out of it. But if I had not not as good as the nameless brand here, but yeah, I mean, daytime shots, I mean, you'll get what you need when it's recording, as far as that's concerned. Okay, so that pretty much wraps things up for the GS8000L. Obviously, if you like what you see here, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and even subscribe to the channel if you have a quick second. Also wanted to remind our users that this month we're doing a spring laptop giveaway, so if you haven't headed to the South Talk forums yet to sign in and basically check it out and find out how you could win a, what is it, a Shiba 655 laptop, and yeah, and that's all she wrote. As always, this is Dan from South Talk Computing, and until the next time.